Halo is back after 6 years of nothing and 9 years since an actual decent release of a game. 343 has taken their second chance and has done the best to make it count. So I was able to play in the beta and I was hooked. I love the grappling hook, and you know how sometimes in older Halos you can only play certain game modes because no one plays them. Well, now they added bots, which makes me really happy. So like 10 years from now, I could still be playing this game, even though like everybody would be playing like Call of Duty, Advanced Iraqi Warfare or something. I can play as much SWAT as I want, anything. I can play Fiesta, anything I want, without having to worry about actually interacting with people. But here's the thing: there's also a lot less modes compared to other Halo games at launch. You had like two options. Another thing was the Infinite's launch was basically like very slow and a bit messy, and we would get slowly worse news as the game got closer to completion. Spring 2021, it was announced there would be no playable elites and no dual wielding, although that was kind of expected. And then they just drop on our heads that assassinations will be removed from the game for a while. And they said it was because it puts players at a disadvantage. But if I'm not wrong, in Halo 5, you could actually turn off assassinations. And I just don't see why they couldn't just keep it in there. But, just like if somebody didn't want it, like have that disadvantage, then take it off. But, that's not too bad, and they're going to add it back later. Honestly, I think it's because they wanted to keep like the T rating so they could just like appeal to everybody, anybody and everybody. But then, we get closer. They do their second beta launch that I'm a part of, and then they announce that split screen co-op and Forge will not be available. Forge I get because they need to like Halo 5's Forge was actually one of the best in the series, and in order to step that up, they need to put a lot of effort in it. It's like they shouldn't release like a crappy Forge or whatever. But then co-op is like a little messier because what you do with your boys is you always get them all on. You play legendary, you put all the skulls on, and that's how you play your campaigns. Like co-op and split screen or whatever. Like I was even planning on having some sort of like launch party. But I guess in the end, it is better that they keep it away. But what I think most people were kind of a little bit pissed about is there was leaks that they really didn't think about how to implement this feature, right? Although people were able to like kind of get it working recently. I mean, it corrupts save files and stuff, but the point is, like, it's not in the game because 343 didn't really think about this. And then the night before the game launched, they told us that we can't replay missions without creating an extra save file. Night before. With all that out of the way, I can appreciate that Halo put things in the game when it was ready, which is the benefit of being a live service. I usually don't like live service games, but I can respect this one. They only put things in when it's ready. Like unlike Destiny, which launched with like a pretty short story and didn't like explore too much stuff. It wasn't like, those other parts weren't ready for the live service. They were. They just wanted to put them in as DLC, which, is pretty greedy. But then, once the campaign launched, I just loved it so much. It's just fun, and I'm so happy that, they delayed it a year so it was ready and polished. It's basically like the first three levels of Halo CE, but like on steroids. You can go anywhere, and you can do anything. From what I've played, the game feels like Halo CE got the map of Breath of the Wild and the villains of Far Cry, which honestly pleased me that it was like more of a Breath of the Wild open world than an Assassin's Creed's one. Now, the campaign is a spiritual reboot of the story, meaning they brought us back to what we had while not ignoring the games before it. So far, in my playthrough, they have written it pretty well, unlike other spiritual reboots or you know redos of certain film things like Star Wars. You know, Halo and Star Wars, I feel like their structure is a bit the same. You have your original trilogy and then you have your sequel trilogy, and it kind of like Halo and I think Star Wars kind of like follow that with each other in a certain way. But I think Halo, from the campaign I've seen so far, has definitely really been different. Instead of like recycling like everything from like what's previous, like Star Wars does. They take you back, like they take you back to a Halo ring. They bring you to a Halo ring, but they have twists on the original story. Like you never know what's gonna be next. You never know what your next mission is gonna be. Like which is exactly how the original Halo CE was. Never knowing what your next mission was gonna be. Like when you go into especially in the open world areas, when you go into these like structures and stuff, you never know what's gonna be like in there and what enemies you're gonna have to fight, unless if you've of course played the game before. But yeah, Halo Infinite, brings out new ideas. Whereas if the Disney's Star Wars writers made this game, it would have been like something like this. Master Chief runs from a satanic cult version of like the Covenant, and he has to go and be like run away from like the flood that he's released, and then a clone of 343 Guilty Spark, and then he's gonna realize that Tartarus and the prophets are still alive somehow and commanding everybody. And then there's gonna be like a massive twist that the new Cortana he has is actually the prophet of Truth's daughter. You know what? Lucasfilm needs to hire me. But I'm happy, 343 learned that you don't need wall running to make a fun Halo game. You just need a shotgun, a pistol, and a quirky blue AI girl.
Is there a problem?
Of course not.
Now I'll come back to the campaign in my main review. Let's talk about the multiplayer. All I'm gonna say is between the campaign and Slayer and big team battle, it was hard for me to put down the controller to write this review. I mean, there's still like not as much as like in some games, but we have a lot. Like they have split screen in the multiplayer at least. Like I'm playing with friends and stuff, and it feels amazing. Overall, I think it's safe to say Halo is back, and it's been too long since those words have been said.
Yo, I know the feeling.